Okay, today I want to give you a very quick whistle-stop tour of some of the things I'm loving about Divi 5. So for those of you who are already Divi users, you will notice that the interface looks really different. A lot of the options are actually the same. So a lot of the things that we see down here and across here are in fact the same as what we had in the previous version of Divi, but they're just styled differently or positioned differently. And I'm finding that the way that I'm working in Divi 5 is very different from how I was working in Divi 4. And a lot of that is because of the options, but also just because the flow is so much easier in Divi 5. Just straightforward things like the wireframe view, you can just toggle really fast between them. And those kind of things just make it really easy. We've got a really nice preview button up here where we can preview the page in a new browser tab. So I'm just going to show you three of the things that I am just enjoying. And the first thing I wanted to show you is that this top row here looks as though it's a 2-column row with an image in each column. And that's how we would have previously built it. But if I show you it in the wireframe view, you'll see it's a full width row with 2 images that if we had done that or added those into Divi 4, they would have just been stacked on top of each other. And so I'm going to show you using something called flexbox, how this is enabled. And flexbox is now built directly into Divi 5 and is making the layout process so much more powerful. So if I come back here and I just, let's just delete that section and I will add a new one in down here. So I'm just going to add in that full width row. By the way, you're going to see a lot of different options here. We've got the flexbox options and then we've got grid options. I'm not even going to touch on grid today, but that's their inclusion of CSS grid is just gives us so much control and so much power over how we're laying our pages out and the elements on the page. So if I go ahead and add this, I'm going to do buttons just for simplicity and speed, just so that you can see them. I'm finding I am using my right click a lot more in Divi 5. I'm just finding that it's easier. There's also lots of shortcuts that you can use, keyboard shortcuts. So here, this is what I mean. When we looked at those images earlier, this is how they would have stacked if I hadn't done anything differently. So when I click into here, over on the right-hand side, we get all of these options, and you can see we've got the option buttons. We also have this fab breadcrumb trail that just enables us to switch really easily from section to row to column. So if we click onto the row and then go into design, under layout here, we're going to see something that we didn't see previously in Divi 4, and that's this option for flex. And flex is enabled by default. And you can see that we've got grid and we've got block. So whenever we enable flex, we also need to make sure that it's enabled on the actual element itself. So it needs to be enabled on the parent element first and then onto the child element. So when we come into the actual row settings themselves in here, we can come into the elements and we can see that we've got the row. We've only got one row here because that's all we added. We didn't add anything extra. We can click into here into the actual column itself, and we can check that the design settings in here are also added to flex, and it gives us these options down here, and we get an option for layout directions. So, and this is just magic. It's like so cool that we can just do that. And then we have all these different options of justifying the content, aligning things. Now, by default, these are aligned to stretch. We're not, even if I change it, we won't notice any difference with any of these options because we don't have any unbalanced content in here, but it does just give us some really nice options of how we can align the content. So I wanted to show you that. I'll show you this next because this is why I pulled this together with a black background so that you could see that I have got unbalanced content here. And when I click into these options for this row, you will see that we are able to align the columns however we're wanting to. So we can stretch them, we can pull them to the bottom. And so this just, honestly, if I could bottle up probably the most asked question that I get from my Rock That Website students, it's how to balance out elements on the page and make things center more easily. And previously we had some awkward workarounds and hacks. Flexbox makes it so straightforward to do this. So I think you're going to love that. And then you might be wondering why I've got these blurbs up here. I just wanted to show you an extra something that Divi has added in. So we have our modules as usual. These can be added in the normal way that we would add something like a blurb. And we have this content tab for the blurb. And within here, we have something called elements. We can click onto here and we can add elements. So here I've just added a button within the blurb. And when we look at the wireframe view, you can see we've still got the 3 blurbs. It doesn't say that we've added a button in there because the button is now part of the blurb. And we can style it in the way that we would normally style any element. So we can align it and we can change the color of it and everything else so that it's, so we can get it looking exactly as we're wanting it to. But this is really cool. We can then go ahead, we can add additional elements onto here if we want to. So when we're in the blurb area, we can come in to the content and we can add in additional elements if we want to. So if we wanted to add in some more text down there, then we could. If we wanted to add in a circle counter or a countdown timer or anything else, we could go ahead and add that in. Maybe we want to add an icon in there. So all of this, I think it's amazing. It just makes it far more easy for you to move elements flexibly around a page when they're grouped together like this. So it's great. I'm loving using Divi 5. I hope that when you dive in that you will love it too. And if you're wanting my help to kind of show you around, then please do check out my Rocking Divi 5. Oh, the other thing that I did want to mention here as well is when we come into these row elements and we look at the design settings, some of the spacing options that we have just make it so much easier. And also we have so much more flexibility with some of the measurements that we're using for spacing and for sizing, and that's the kind of thing I will go into in my Rocking Divi 5 course. You'll get a lot more input on what you should be using, but I hope that you will see that there's so much going on here that is new and exciting and is going to make your life so much easier once you get used to it. It is a little bit of a learning curve. I have stumbled around a few times and I've never got to that point where I thought I wish I could just go back to what I was really used to and then really comfortable with. I have done a full Divi 5 course and I have spent a lot of time going through and pulling together layouts, and so I am feeling comfortable with the setup now. And I think with anything, when you dive in, it'll just take a little period of adjustment. But if you're prepared to put up with that and you can tolerate it, I think you're going to really, really love it. So like I said before, Rocking Divi 5 is on pre-sale now. It's available for £97. It will give you access to show you how to migrate your site safely from Divi 4 to Divi 5, and will give you a good overview of all of these elements that, I've hardly even scratched the surface of what's available to us in Divi 5 now. But I hope that you will join me for that.